has never met my parents. And the last time my son saw my parents was when he was born.
Okay.
And just, I don't know, the idea that family is very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that these people that were the whole reason I'm here,
right,
and such a big part of my upbringing, don't know anything about the two biggest things of my life currently.
Right.
You know, it I don't know. I know it's, you know, nobody's you know, knocking on death's door or anything like that. You know, it can all be fixed, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But right now it sucks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's totally understandable.
Yeah, and that weighed a lot on my mental processes for last week. And then the end of the week, which you were there for, what happened there was, I work third shift, and while I'm away at work, my wife is the only one, if the kids wake up at night or need anything, she's the only one there that can really do anything to help them.
Right.
So, Tuesday night and Wednesday night, she had really tough nights with them. Like, they would not stay down.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her once I got off work Thursday morning, I'd go home, take a nap or get some sleep, go get them from the sitters, and then I would take them to the park and try and wear them out so that they'd sleep through the night.
Right.
That's where you got a hold of me and said, "Hey, you still going to the park? Like, I'll go with you."
Right.
So perfect. So got the kids a couple Happy Meals, grabbed a stroller, changed them, and then we hopped in the car and we met at the park. Walked for a couple minutes, and Jack pulled us to the swings.
Yeah, he wanted to play.
Yeah, in the playground, which from the get just shows you how strong-willed that kid is. Like, hey,
yeah.
Listen to me, stop, don't get. All right, I guess we're doing your thing.
All
right. So we get over to the playground. He's climbing around. Rowan's not doing so much of the climbing around. She's just staring at other kids.
Right.
So I think, okay, how do I get her involved? Well, let's get her on a swing. Maybe that'll free her up a little bit. You and Jack took a little walk, went down by the duck pond, and what happened down by the duck pond with you guys? I saw that you at the end you picked him up and started bringing him back to the playground.
So he had. I thought that he was saying. So before we got down to the pond, he was playing with that little steering wheel, and I thought he was saying truck, but he was saying duck. He wanted to go. He saw the ducks, and I think he wanted to go see them. Right.
Yeah.
So he starts walking down, and I was like, well, you know, Brandon is with Rowan. I'll just keep an eye on him. And when we got to the pond, you know, there's no railing, right? You can just walk right in.
Yeah.
And I saw that he kept like inching closer and closer, and I didn't want him to fall.
Yeah.
That's what I thought might happen, is that he may like want to get as close to the edge as he can. He might fall. So I would like just kind of push him back a little bit, and then he would try to get away from me, and I would push him back. And finally, I was like, "All right, buddy, let's go back to the playground."
Yeah.
And I went to talk to you about it.
You came back up
just to be like, "Oh man, he's really into the ducks."
Yeah.
And he had gotten back on the playground, you know, on one of the sets or whatever. And I'm talking to you, and there was another parent there who had a son named Jack, and we talked to him for just a minute, and then all of a sudden,
not even a minute.
I'll let you finish the story from there.
Yeah, a couple seconds passed by. You know, it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, literally like maybe 15 or 20 seconds at the most.
Yeah, and so we talked for a second, and then I look back at Rowan, and then I hear a bunch of like commotion by the duck pond.
Right.
And I look down, and there's a group of people running to the duck pond. And what the hell's happening down there? But then also I have that side thought of, hey, where's Jack?
Right.
and I look around. I don't see Jack anywhere, and so I grab Rowan, and we start walking down to the duck pond, and I remember making that walk to the duck pond, and just all of me kind of being stiff.
Yeah.
Like I didn't run. It was fear.
Okay.
Because on the drive from picking up the kids to the park, I remember talking to my wife on the phone, and she's like, it's gonna be you taking the kids by yourself. She didn't know you were gonna be there also.
Right.
But she's like, it's gonna be you and the two crazy kids. Like, are you sure you can handle it? I was like, yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Relax. And that conversation kept looping in my head. And so the walk from the playground to the duck pond, I remember just everything being stiff and feeling frozen, but knowing and feeling that I was moving forward towards the duck pond.
Yeah.
And I get about halfway from the park to the duck pond when I see these two women lift Jack out of the duck pond, and he's wet from head to toe, and he kind of looks surprised, looks shocked.
Yeah.
And I remember just being relieved that his eyes were open.
Yeah.
And she set him down, and they, a few people were like trying to get the water out of his face, and trying to make sure he kept calm. And I know that you were the first one to the duck pond, to check on him and that kind of thing.
Right.
And he saw me, and he came over, and he hugged me around my thighs, and just started crying and saying, "Daddy, Daddy," that kind of thing.
Right.
And I remember still kind of being frozen, like, it was shock, I guess. And I knelt down, and I hugged him, and kept patting his back, and they're like, "You okay? You okay?" And he was crying hysterically. And
well, yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty shaken. Yeah, he was pretty shaken up.
Right.
And then I remember looking over and seeing the lady who she was sitting on a park bench, and basically watched him run past her and thought, he's not stopping, and followed him to the duck pond and snatched him out of the water.
Yeah.
Just as
she jumped in the water. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just saw him when they were pulling him out. I didn't see how he got in. I just know. Yeah,
but she was pretty scraped up from diving across the cement to get to him.
Yeah.
And I remember picking him up, and I had Rowan in one arm and him in the other. And I remember asking the lady, "Are you okay?" And they're like, "We're fine."
Right.
But she's wincing, and she's pretty scraped up. And I thought, and I said out loud, I think that's enough of the park today. We were only there for about a half hour.
Yeah.
And it was probably the scariest couple seconds of my life. And so I grabbed everything, threw it in the car, and I knew at that time, you were like, "I'm sorry, man, like, if Trish is mad, you can blame it all on me," and that kind of thing. And I wasn't looking to do any of that, you know what I mean?
No, I know, but
and
I felt bad. I mean, I just felt bad because we didn't talk about it, but I had watched Jack before, and I was like, well, it was kind of understood that I was watching him, and and I had seen, like, you hadn't seen him kind of, I don't know how else to say it, but kind of being a little, I don't know, a little like he didn't care that there was water. Like, it didn't seem to occur to him that this was something that could be potentially dangerous, Right. And I did see that, and so I felt, I felt a little responsible, I guess. Like, I felt like I could have done a better job to prevent that from happening.
I understand that, but at the end of the day, all I could see was I screwed up. You know what I mean? And No, it was scary as shit. I didn't like that feeling at all. And like the first, so making the walk from the playground to the duck pond, it was just frozen. And then I had him. I was relieved I had him.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that he was crying to me was a positive because he was alive.
Right.
You know, and so I got him and his sister back to the car, threw them in the car seats. He's still soaking wet.
Yeah.
Got him in the car seat and started driving. And I remember for the first few minutes of the drive from the park to back to home, I remember being upset. Like, oh, you know, Jack's got a history of, you know, us telling him, hey, come here, don't do that, stop, and him just like blocking us out, like, whatever, I'm gonna do this.
Right.
So just being pissed at him for doing what he normally does.
Right.
And then after a couple minutes of the drive, just the idea of what could have happened, you know, had there been less attentive people at the park, or less people, and somebody that, or the rest of the people there hadn't noticed like we hadn't, you know, up till it would be too late. And just all those scenarios ran through my head at a mile a minute. And I pulled into the driveway, and at that time, like, the shock had worn off. And pulled in the driveway, my wife saw the car pull up, and she comes outside to usually get one kid and I get the other. And I got out of the car, I just said, get her. She said, okay. And she came around to my side, got Rowan. I went around to the other side, got Jack. And we started walking in, and Trish noticed that he was wet from head to toe. She's like, ooh, did somebody get into the fountains? You know, that kind of thing. And in my head, I was like, you have no fucking idea.
Yeah, right.
And we get inside, I kick his shoes off, take his socks off, his shirt, his shorts, go to the bathroom. I start the bath, and then Trish and Rowan come in, and Trish starts getting Rowan ready for the bath, and Trish is just like, what happened? And I couldn't say anything. I kept quiet, and I just remember continuing to look down, and got Jack in the tub. She got Rowan in the tub, and I just had my hands on either side of Jack, which I didn't normally do. Usually when he's in the tub, I just kind of I stay nearby just to make sure he doesn't like slip and fall and bust his head.
Right.
But at this time, I could not take my hands away from his sides, just kind of keeping a hold of him. The only way I could rationalize it now would be like, that was subconsciously, that was my way of like making sure like he's here, right? He's physically here.
Yeah.
And Trish kept talking, well, what happened? You know, is everything all right? What happened? And I just started crying.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, all right, now you got me worried. What happened? And I couldn't say anything still. And I got him shampooed and rinsed and all that, and then we got him toweled off and got diapers on him, and they started running around, and Trish was like, okay, now tell me what happened.
Right.
And that's when I told her. And my wife has this ability that when I'm upset about something, or I screwed up, or I did something wrong, and I feel bad about it, she likes to come in and like, well, yeah, you're mad about it, but now I get to be mad about it, you know, that kind of thing. But this was one of those times where she could see that I was upset enough for the both of us.
Yeah.
That she was just like, hey, it's okay, everybody's everybody's alive, that kind of thing. And